I live in the world of multiple right answers. So a business can choose whatever path they want. I didn't realize at the time what I was doing was authority building. I keep hitting the same wall and I don't understand it. If your side business gives you so much joy, why isn't that your full-time job? Did you know that every single day, 2,700 new titles come out on Amazon? Storytelling works because people are hardwired for stories, and your story matters.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Experts podcast. Today, we welcome Lisa Apolinski. She is an international speaker, author. She has 30 years of experience in the digital content strategy space with digital storytelling. And she also has been featured on Forbes and New York Times. She has also she's also helping entrepreneurs to establish themselves to be recognized as an authority in their industry. So we're excited. So please welcome Lisa Apolinski.
Hi there. Thanks for having me on, Alka. This is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start by asking, when did the inspiration for you come when, digital storytelling, everyone needs to be online. As entrepreneurs, you're starting your business, you got to be visible. So share with us, how did the journey for you begin in the digital content space?
So I have to go back to when I first started out in marketing itself, which is 1997.
Oh,
Makes
wow.
me feel very old.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, that was when things were just starting to become digital. I was still doing mail merges. I was still going to the post office and mailing out direct mail. We still had inside sales teams that called people. If you remember that, when people used to pick up the
Right.
phone
Yeah.
and talk to people. And even at that time, I knew that having an area of genius was critical. So
Mhm.
this isn't just for entrepreneurs, just for business leaders. Even if you are, a marketing specialist or a marketing manager in an organization, you can still be using your authority to become the go-to that people want to talk to you and ask for your assistance. I mean, that's to me, that's amazing. And it makes you valuable within the organization. Um, but I didn't realize at the time what I was doing was authority building. I thought I was just, you know, learning about the digital world and making sure I was out there doing articles, doing speaking engagements, even then, when things were just starting to get online. And then fast forward to 2012, when I made the decision to go out on my own and start my own business. I was in Milan, Italy. I was working. I was over there helping with another marketing group within the organization I was working at, and I just worked like a 14-hour day, and it was awful. It was just awful. And I came back to the hotel room and I called my sister. And I just sat there for 5 or 10 minutes, just complaining about my day and complaining about how I'm in this beautiful city and I can't enjoy it. And I'm so stressed out. My sister let me vent for a few minutes. And then she asked me about my side business, which at that
Mhm.
time it was a side business. And my energy changed, my demeanor changed, my tone changed. And I was so excited to talk about all of these things and just different things that I was able to do and the stories that I was incorporating into that content. And again, I didn't realize at the time that that was digital storytelling. I just did it. And my sister let me talk about that for a few minutes. And then she
Mhm.
said, if your side business gives you so much joy, why isn't that your full-time job? And it had never occurred to me to make that transition. I always thought that I would be working for Fortune 500s and then just doing like the side work. Never in a million years thought that that would be something I would just get into. And, 14 years later, which is crazy, right? 14 years later, I'm still going at it. Um, and just being able to help my clients share their stories.
Mhm.
I just did two stories to show a point about application of authority, about, learning how to move forward on your own. Storytelling works because people are hardwired for stories, and your story matters.
100%. I mean, I couldn't agree more. But you hit a lot of nuggets. When it comes, storytelling, it really is critical because people want to relate, right? They want to relate with
Right.
you. It's not so much as to how, it's always, it comes down to the story. It's about, what are you willing to share? What are you open to share? Because that's how people connect with you at an emotional level. So you need to tell your story.
Absolutely.
That's how people are going to be related, but that's absolutely just amazing. So 1997 is when the the digital world began to open up, and so it's incredible to see, way back then as to now. What are some of the differences that you are seeing, 2026 that we're in, but just walk us through what are some of the changes that you've seen, what can we expect, and what, in your opinion, your expertise, what may happen.
So I feel like I've had the privilege of being trained in traditional marketing and then adding the digital aspects, the digital
Mhm,
components to it.
mhm,
One thing that I will say that has not changed is the importance of relationships and investing in your clients and investing in your clients first, not waiting for them, but actually helping them out first. That will always be the case. Relationships and that human element, no
mhm,
matter how much more digital we get, will always, always have you be separated from the rest of the crowd. What I've noticed over the last 30 years is we've moved from transactional marketing, where it's just, I give you money and you give me goods and services, and then we're on our way. People want to have more of a connection with you.
mhm,
Now, the type of connection they want has definitely changed. Before, they would want to know what you stand for, and they'd want to know your mission, and they'd want to know, all these different things. Now, what they're looking for is, can they trust you? Because there's so many players out there and
mhm,
there's so much noise within the digital space. And when they say, can I trust you? What they're really saying is, will you help me reduce my risk, reduce the amount of time it takes me to get to that success point, and reduce the costs associated with getting there? And that's what they're looking for. If I hand you my hard-earned money, because let's face it, we're fighting for every dollar, whether it's
right,
Canadian or US or anything else, we're
yeah,
fighting for every single tick on our revenue sheet. So, how are we helping our clients to make that decision easier, more
mhm,
comfortably, and to have them, I don't want to say give in, but trust us enough to follow what we're telling them to do, because there's also this resistance, right? I can go and look on AI and say, well, AI says to do this, this, and this. I've always done it this way. There's that resistance. And I feel like that's more prevalent today. So,
mhm,
how do you help your right fit clients say, okay, I've been trying to do this, I've hit a wall, this isn't working anymore? And I actually had a conversation with a client yesterday about this. And the word she used is, I keep hitting the same wall and I don't understand it.
uh-huh,
Yeah, I get it. And she was talking even 5 years ago, that wall did not exist. So
right,
what happened? Yeah,
uh-huh,
everything has been shifting. And it's that struggle to, and I don't want to say blast through the wall, but get over the wall, get around the wall, whatever you
mhm,
need to do to get to
mhm,
the other side of the wall. And the fastest way, and I don't want to say the cheapest, but the least amount of money, where you're not redoing things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times. So helping your clients to feel like, okay, you're going to get me over this wall, and I'm not going to have bloodied knees, or, I'm not going to be scraped up. It's gonna be it's gonna be smooth, and I can see the other side of the wall because you're
Hmm.
giving me that vision. I think that is critical. I have to talk about AI. I
Absolutely.
know,
I was going to
yeah,
mention AI, but yes, go ahead. Yes.
gotta talk about AI because that's also now adding this,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, a new layer of interest into our conversations with our right fit clients.
Right.
So 5 years ago,
Mhm.
when I talked about authority, I talked about storytelling, we talked about making sure that you were where your right fit clients live and where they are the most open to what you have to say. So my clients live on LinkedIn. If I went on Facebook and posted, even if they were there, they're not in the right mindset to read what I'm sharing. And they're like, well, I'm here to browse videos or look at pictures, from other people's vacations. They're not open to what you have to say. I feel now that that channel differentiation has kind of blurred out a little bit. And I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but it has. There's a little bit of blurring now with that. And that's because of AI. Think about the last 2 or 3 times you put in some kind of a search and you got the AI prompt back. Did you do anything other than read that content and go, awesome, and then go on with your day? Did you click on anything? Did you research it? Did you verify it? Probably not.
Mm.
It's this no click or zero click search that's now dominating how we find information and how we
Wow.
find those authorities,
Right.
which
Right.
means AI is interpreting your authority on your behalf for people who are looking for the services that you provide because of the problem that you solve.
Mhm.
So now you have to not only worry about how your right fit client sees you, you now have to worry about how AI is presenting that to your right fit client before they ever have an interaction with you. So there's this added layer where showing up is critical, and then being seen by AI in the right way, in the accurate way, is now also critical because those combined now are driving the kind of relationships
Mhm.
and the kind of conversations you're going to have. If I show up as X and AI interprets me as Y, and then my client shows up, they're going to go, well, hold on a second. This is weird. I thought I was going to experience this, and I'm actually experiencing this. And that's enough for them to go, I'm out.
Yeah.
Nope, absolutely not. Nope, something's not right. I'm out.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's scary. I mean, think about that. That's a split
Mhm.
second decision that they're making. So, a lot of and I don't know if you do this, and if you don't, I highly recommend you do it because it gives you so much information. Pretend like you are your right fit client and go onto your AI platform of choice, whether it's Claude or Chat or whatever, and ask what you are known for in third person. So I would
Mhm.
type in, what is Lisa Apolinski known for?
Right.
And then I look to see what information comes back. And if it's not accurate, I feed it new information and it goes, oh, wow, thanks. And sometimes it interprets things that you're like, that's a thing. And that's happened to me where I throw out
Right.
something and I
Uh-huh.
throw it out repeatedly, but I've never actually written it down.
Uh-huh.
So in my mind, it's not that it's not mine, but it's not something that I have connected the dots to.
Uh-huh.
And AI will reflect it back to me. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should be claiming that. If you think it's important,
Uh-huh.
it means that compared to every other person out there, that's something that's unique to me. And I probably should own that. So there's a lot of stuff that you can get. But again, this is an added complexity and added layer that people are just starting to explore because SEO used to be the whole thing, right? Search engine
Uh-huh.
optimization. Now it's AEO, answer engine optimization, and GEO, generative engine optimization. And generative is where you want to live. You want the AI platforms and the agents to explore your area of genius, and then share it to the masses. That's going to be critical moving forward.
Absolutely. I was going to touch on AI, but thank you so much for jumping in and talking about AI because AI, we are in this AI era, and it's very important for every business owner to, entrepreneurs, whether you're starting your business as a coach, speaker, author, you have to implement AI. And I was in the mall last week and I was just, talking about AI, businesses implementing AI. And I just happened to be in a menswear store and they've been in that store for 30 years as well. And so I asked them, well, are you using AI? And if so, which AI? Because there are so many AI tools that we know of. And he said, no, we don't. We don't use AI because we've had these established customers that want to come in the store physically because people want to touch the feel, the experience. This is about the experience, and I totally get that.
Absolutely.
But moving forward, you're absolutely 100% correct. You have to implement AI, integrate in your business. You can have a physical store. There's nothing wrong with that. But you also have to have a virtual store as well. And shoppers, and I was just reading about 2026, it's all about the shoppers. They want the virtual experience,
Yes, yes. And
right?
I live in the world of multiple right answers. So a business can choose whatever path they want. And I was actually thinking when you were talking about that, I was listening to NPR one day and they were talking about this little French restaurant in the middle of Little Italy
Mhm.
in New York.
Okay.
Same owner for like 60 years, same waiter who'd been there for like 48 years. It's got
Wow.
like six tables. Yeah. The proprietress, the madame, she still cooks. It's all crepes. She still cooks them. They have a waiting list. And they said, oh yeah, we don't do social media and we're not online. However, they just did a story on NPR. Now everybody knows about them. And maybe
Right.
they don't have a web address, but now they are online, whether they acknowledge it or not.
Right. Yeah.
They, by doing that story, I'm like, oh, the next time we're in New York, we got to find this place. We got to go, and make sure we get a reservation and, call and everything. But again, it's it's this push and pull, right? Where
Mhm.
some companies, some businesses are like, no, I want the physical experience, but there's always a digital aspect to it. Like
Yes.
your menswear, it's quite possible that they've gotten some younger people in who have posted about it on their socials. So again,
Mhm.
we can't escape it. We can't escape that digital aspect. If you fight against it, I feel like you're fighting against not having the wind hit you in the face. Like I don't know how you don't get air on you. So
Right.
it's the same thing with digital, right? It's almost like something that we live and breathe. And it just depends on what are your goals? If your goals are, I just want to have this existence and I'm happy with what I'm doing, that's great. But a lot of my clients are like, I want to grow, I want to expand. I want to have predictability in my revenue. Huh? Think about that. I want to have a predictable revenue
Right.
stream, regardless of what's happening with the economy, with the global market, with, wars, with the pandemic. I just want to have something that I know will produce month
Mhm.
after month after month. And for that, you 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 have to, in my opinion, you have to step into this digital space with AI and authority so that it is that experience outside of the digital realm. But if you expect your right fit clients to remember you, that's not going to happen. They got a million things happening. It's
Right.
your job to remind them that you're there to solve their problem.
Exactly. And showing up consistently, how entrepreneurs can do so. And you help professionals to establish themselves so that they can also be leading authorities in their industry. So, walk us through the steps. How do you take the entrepreneurs, your clients you work with, how do you take them through the journey so they can stay relevant and be an authority?
I love that question. And it is absolutely customized to each client. I will
Mhm.
start with that. No two clients come in the same, ever. ever. And the first thing we do is we have a 90-minute call. And I know it's long, but it's 90 minutes so that not only do I get to understand how did you start? What's your area of genius? If you could only work with a certain type of client solving one problem, and I'm not saying that you're going to do that, but if I told you for the rest of your career, you only get to pick one type of client and solve one problem, and you want that client to be a North Star, right? Someone that you absolutely love working with, who is just such a joy. When you see them on your calendar, you're like, yeah, I get to work with that person today, and I get to solve this problem for that person, and it's going to be amazing because at the end of the day, we want to have our fun meet around Max, right?
Mhm.
If you had to choose that, who would it be? And a lot of people are like, well, I'm not really sure. So then I ask the opposite. If you had to explain to me one of your South Star clients, someone who was so horrible, and all of us have had one, and you know exactly who it is, and I know everyone who's listening, you went right to that individual. And think about those behaviors, the conversations, the traits,
Mhm.
different things. Write all those down, and then what's the opposite of that? Because
Right.
that
Yeah.
becomes your North Star client, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
I've been so lucky that I have so many North Star clients that the few South Star clients that I've had have kind of dissipated, and they're a very bad memory in the background, and I can focus on that. So in that 90 minutes, it also helps you to gain clarity around, yeah, what would be if I could wave a magic wand
Mhm.
and say, these are the types of people that I want to work with, and they fill me up and they energize me and they pay on time and they're respectful and they understand the value that I bring and I don't have to fight them at
Mhm.
every turn. And if I could have 10, 20, 50, 100 of those, man, I'd be set. And I know it would be predictable because North Star clients are predictable, right? They show up the way you expect them to, which
Right.
is part of the appeal of having North Star clients. So once we map that out, then we look at what have you been doing that has been working well?
Mhm.
What are areas that you wish you were better at and you feel like they could help you, but you're hesitant to get into them? What are areas where you're like, I don't want to do this at all, ever in the history of the world? And there are people who are like, I will never be on a podcast. And I'm okay with that because I want you to do things that you can sustain,
Right.
that
Mhm.
you can continue to do for the rest of your career. And if getting on a keynote stage is not your cup of tea, I'm not going to tell you that that's what you need to do because you'll never do it. Or if you do it, it'll be such a horrible experience
Mhm.
that you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe you asked me to do that. And that was awful. So I'm a huge proponent of being an author, right? I'm a 5-time author. My sixth book is going to be coming out soon. And authorship can look very different. And it doesn't have to be a massive book, it could be a simple book that you self publish. It could be articles or interviews that you gather together into some sort of printed material. I will never tell you, you must write a 40 or 50,000 word book. Even though I'm editor in chief at Indie Books International, which is another hat I wear. And I do believe that you can't spell authority without the word author. I'll let you think
Right.
about that for a
Yeah.
second. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
You can be an author in a variety of ways. So again, I don't believe that you have to do exactly everything the way I've done it. I think that you can take what I've done and what other clients of mine have done and make it yours. That it can be your playbook. And again, it'll be something that when you get up in the morning, you'll be like, I got this. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. I have heard other coaches, other consultants who say, you must have a newsletter that you put out every week. You must have an email list. You must. Why? Why? There are so many different paths to people finding you, engaging with you, learning about you, and starting to understand who you serve and the problem that you solve. And there are different ways to get there. It's like me saying the only way you're going to find your husband or wife or partner is that you have to be on a dating app. Why? That's crazy. There's so many different ways to get to a finish line.
Mhm.
It's making it so that you know you can get to that finish line. It's not about me telling you you have to do these steps to get it. It's let's find the formula that will work for you. That if I check in with you in a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years, you're still doing it.
Mhm.
That is where the power lies. And having that experience with my clients and them saying, oh my God, I thought I'd have to do, and they list stuff out. And I'm like, if that's not your cup of tea, then don't do it.
Something.
There's so many different ways. And the digital space now is so robust that you can do a variety of things and you can change them up like every day and still get the results that you want, which is for people to see that you have impact, influence. At the end of the day, you got income coming in.
Mhm. And I loved how you just, described authority is author. I just realized that's quite brilliant. Yeah, author, authority. Just absolutely. So how can authors in this digital space and this crowded market, there's just so much competition. There's so many authors, speakers, coaches. How can authors stand out in their industry? They have a beautiful message they want to share with the masses. Walk us through the steps. How can an author stand out in their industries, and what do they need to do? What's the first step that they can take?
So, one of the things that we take our authors through,
Mhm.
especially if we're ghostwriting, because that's critical. First, we ask, what are you hoping the book will do?
Mhm.
That's number one. Again, what's the end goal? It's not the process, it's the end goal. And if you say, well, I want to be wealthy selling a bunch of books, did you know that every single day, 2,700 new titles come out on Amazon?
Wow. I know
That's
that.
the sea. Oh, yeah, that's the
Wow.
sea of stuff that you're fighting against. So
Mhm.
if you say instead, I want to have a physical form of my authority. I want to impact people so that I can do workshops, I can do interviews, I can get on a stage, I can be on a podcast, and I also have a physical book that if they can't hire me right now, they can do something else, which is purchase my book and at least move the needle forward. That's noble work, and I love it. So that's the first and foremost. What is your end goal for
Mhm.
publishing your book? The second is what problem are you hoping this book will solve?
Right.
Right? It's it shouldn't be a ego boost memoir because there are a million of those. If you want to cut through the digital noise, are you doing it because you want to make sure that people stop making this mistake or stop having this kind of life or stop having this kind of work environment or whatever that problem is that you're solving? And it really should be a 3 a.m. problem, right? Something that wakes your reader up at 3 a.m. and makes them go, oh my God, if I don't solve this,
Right.
bad things are going to happen. I know it. They will pick up your book and they will give it to everybody. So that's number two. So again, what are you hoping the goal is for your book? And what problem are you solving? And when
Mhm.
you know the problem you're solving, you can also think about who am I writing this for? And it's not for everybody. It's a specific group of people that you hope to touch, move, and inspire into action. Because that's why you're doing the book. Because book writing is hard. It's not
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
And I'm on my sixth book, and I can tell you it's a lot of work. You don't want to just do it and then be like, oh, no one's going to read my book. Awesome. Because that's sad. And then the fourth question we always ask is because you're providing your area of genius, because you're
Mhm.
providing your authority, you're providing information for your readers. Is your information new? better or different. New, better, or different.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of those is good. I personally am a contrarian by nature,
Mm-hmm.
so my stuff is always different. I always look outside the triangle, not the box, right? So I want to be a little bit off center, but that's me. Maybe you have information that's new that you're like, oh my God, we've been doing this. And really, there's another way to do it, and there's a new way to do it. Or we've been doing this, and I actually have information that will improve that. So you can build on what you already know. So those are the things that we ask first and foremost. And that's true for anything, any kind of book you're putting out. Are you, do you understand why you're doing the book? Do you understand the problem you're hoping the book will solve? Do you understand the very niche audience that the book is for? Because that's key. And it allows you then to write in their language and reflect their problems back to them, which means you get it and you're a
Right.
specialist. If they want a generalist, they will go on to AI. You are an authority. You have a very specific set of skills, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what they're paying you for. And that's why they're going to choose you. And then what kind of information are you providing? And again, new, more, or different.
Mm-hmm. Now, Lisa, your final question, you are a leading voice when it comes to, and you have been, and I just want to take this moment to congratulate you. You've got your sixth book coming out. Congratulations. That's going to be massive. When does it come out, by the way?
We've just finished the manuscript. We're doing our final edits to it. We are working on the cover right now. So I'm hoping it will come out late summer, early fall, but please don't quote me on that because I am co-authoring it with two other individuals. And when you co-author, it makes the book amazing, but then there's also give and take in what you're doing. So I think it'll come out probably late summer or early fall. And I'm so excited for it. And
Oh,
again, there's a
cool.
lot of stuff in there specifically for health tech, healthcare, but it's applicable for other industries as well. And I've been using a lot of what we outlined in the book to talk to my other clients, which is kind of
Right.
fun.
Exactly. Well, I want to congratulate you anyhow for the launch of your book. And also you are a leading voice. You've been recognized in, Forbes, New York Times. So that just got to be just an amazing accolade for the work that you're doing. So yeah, we just want to congratulate for everything that you're doing and the impact that you are making in the community. So your final
Thank you.
question, Lisa, when it comes to branding, how important is branding? Branding your personal brand and your business brand when entrepreneurs are starting out in their businesses. How important is branding? Why does it matter? And what are the steps that entrepreneurs need to take?
Well, I mentioned earlier that when I put myself into AI to ask what I was known for, I got some interesting stuff back. One of the things that I always say, and again, I've never written it down except for in my seventh book that I'm working on, because either you're working on one or you're publishing one or you're working on the next
Right.
one, because
Yeah.
you're never
Uh-huh.
one and done, which is insanity. But I always say it's not B2B or B2C, it's P to P, person to person, people to people.
Mm,
Yes, you're selling into a business, but you're selling into people within a business. It's still about those relationships, right? So I focus on my personal brand because that is what defines me.
mm,
It is what gives me a category of one, and it allows someone to have that human connection to me when I'm asking them to hand over their hard-earned money, their time,
right.
and the potential success of their business. And I want to really emphasize that. You are asking your clients to trust you with their lifeblood. You got to earn that. That's not just something you're, and not to poo-poo smaller, things, but you're not selling an eyeglass case with which is really just style and price.
Mhm.
You are selling your knowledge and your area of genius
Yeah.
that you are hoping to impact your client in such a way that it gets them out of whatever horribleness is happening to get to the other side. That I
Right.
have such respect for any client that comes to me and asks me that. I take that as an honor.
Mhm.
So, and even if you're just starting out, it's still the same honor. People are trusting you,
Right.
and you want to show up for that. And the way they're going to trust you is if they understand you, what you're known for, and who you're known to.
Mhm.
Yes, you have a brand because you need to have a company. Let me tell a quick story. So, I became editor in chief at Indie Books on October 1st. And so my former business was dismantled as part of that because it was an acquisition of sorts.
Mhm.
I still had clients who were like, you can't leave me. And I was like, okay. And I got permission and I started another side business.
Mhm.
I had a conversation with a prospect that I had met. And I honestly looked at her LinkedIn, looked at all the stuff, and I was like, oh, she'll never need me. She's got it going on. She's totally good.
Yeah.
So I approached the conversation just as networking and to see how I could further support her and see who I could connect her with in my community. That was my only goal.
Mhm.
Within 15 minutes of the conversation, she said, oh my God, I need to hire you. How do I work with you? And I had a
Okay.
microsecond of panic because I had not established anything. I
Okay.
had no services ready to go.
Uh-huh.
I had no website. I had no email. I had nothing. And I had to make up packages on the spot.
Mhm.
And I did it. And I had to write them down so I knew what I said. And that's the power of your personal brand and your authority.
Right.
You don't need a fancy website. You don't need a fancy logo. No one's going to look at your logo and go, oh, I should hire that person. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. We put so much stock into these external attributes
Mhm.
and we forget about the core of who we are and our area of genius. Never forget your area of genius. Always lead, converse, communicate through that lens. That is going to be what separates you. And when you're doing that, your company brand will eventually come into play because you'd like to have a logo associated with and a website associated with. And 10 years ago, your website was everything, right? It was
Mhm.
absolutely how people interact with you. That's not the case anymore. People look at your YouTube content, they look at your LinkedIn information, they look at the interviews you've been on, they look at podcasts you've been on, and they see who you are and whether or not they now know you and if they like you and if they can trust you. And
Exactly.
that's critical. I mean, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a website, but what I am saying is, are you having a website that drives a user experience and is consistent with who you are? Or is it very flashy and then they meet you and they're like, oh, that's not the same thing. That's where the disconnect and where the problems come in. And
Mhm.
also people will say, "Oh, well, I'm going to start my business as soon as I have the website up, as soon as I have the right logo, as soon as I have the right brand colors." They are in love with their potential and they're not ready to push the button and launch. And
Right.
again, when you understand your authority in your area of genius, every conversation that you have, that will come out. Again, I went into that call with just wanting to get to know her better and to see who I could connect her with to help her. That was it.
Right.
And we started having just a little bit of conversation around a couple of things and I was like, "Oh, well, what works for me or what I do with my clients was," and I gave her a bunch of information for free. And then she was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. I have to work with you. I want to throw money at you. How do I do that?" Okay. And those are the conversations that you can have over and over and over and over and over.
Right.
It's about it's
Yeah.
about being chosen, even if you don't know. that that's what's happening.
Right,
Those are the
exactly.
best conversations, right? Where you don't think there's anything happening, and then all of a sudden someone's handing you a bunch of money to do work, and you're like, "What? What's happening?" Um,
Right,
and that can be a consistent experience. It doesn't have to be a one-off, but that's where that investment in your authority, understanding your area of genius, being very clear about, you know what, if you've got this problem, I can solve it. One of the other things I will say is, as an entrepreneur, especially if you're starting out and you're like, well, I'm not really sure. If you can, do Zoom calls with your prospective clients,
right.
record them if you can, or transcribe them, and look at the language that they are saying. Normally, they will say their problem in a very similar way where you go, aha, opportunity. My
Uh-huh.
clients say one of two things. They say either I spent all this money on marketing and I didn't get anything for it. What the what? Or they say, new one, I don't get it. I have double the experience of that ding dong over there. Yeah, they got the business and I didn't. What the what? And they're mad about it because they're like, I don't understand why I am not closing this business, why I am not getting work that I know I'm more than qualified to get. What am I doing wrong?
Right.
And when they say one of those
Mhm.
two things, I know that what I do can help them and get them over that hump. And once they see it, they never unsee it. They never make that mistake again.
Right.
And that's the key. Yeah,
Yeah, you mentioned trust and credibility. I mean, that's everything. As a brand, your trust and credibility, and the recognition. You talk about the recognition, how entrepreneurs, how you establish the, for them to be recognized. So it goes a long way. If you're not credible, because the credibility, you can lose it. You have it today, but it can easily be gone. And when it's gone, it's very difficult to come back.
very difficult to come back. Very, very difficult to come back. And when you're really clear about your area of genius,
Mhm.
the credibility just is there. It's not like you have to fight for it. What happens when the credibility gets lost is you start kind of wandering outside of your lane of genius, right? You start adding things in
Yeah.
that you think you should sell. And I'm guilty of this. I'm in that boat. When I started out in just content. And then I added stuff and became a full service agency. And I was working 80, 100 hours a week. I
Mhm.
had a team of 15,
Mhm.
yet I wasn't happy and I didn't have the owner discretionary income. I didn't pay myself enough. And I'm like, where's all the money going? This sucks. I'm working for 15 other people.
Right.
How about me? How about actually spending some money on me? That would be nice. And I stripped everything down back to my roots, which was content. And I have people say, well, can you help me with this? And can you help me with that? Sure, I can, but it's no longer what I focus on. But I know a guy and I'm happy to make that introduction. Yes, I can do a ton of stuff, but this is what I want to be known for. This
Mhm.
is what energizes me. This is what I know I can do that is transformative and disruptive and will blow up whatever problem you have, and that problem will not exist. It will stop existing. And
Yeah.
this is how you get through it. And that's what I focus on. It's very easy to add in stuff because people are kind of asking for it. I say try to resist it as much as you can because it dilutes you.
Mhm.
And when it dilutes you, and you're doing this area great, but then these side areas are just okay,
Yeah.
that's when you start losing that credibility. And the thing is, if the side stuff is just okay, they're going to assume that your core area of genius is just okay. And
Just
you don't want that. Yeah.
mhm. Exactly.
Yep.
Because if you're doing everything, you're doing nothing. So focus on that one lane. Uh, I should say, be a genius at that one lane.
Yeah.
Lisa, this has been such a powerful conversation. I really want to thank you today for coming on. You're such a delight, and I'm sure we could do a part two because I'm just thinking as to
I
what
think we
we could,
should. Yes,
absolutely,
that would be
what.
so fun. Oh my gosh.
Mm. I mean,
Hmm.
you are such a delight. I would love to have you back on again. So, where can people connect with you, and how can we support you best?
Yes. So the easiest way to get a hold of me, I'm on LinkedIn all the time.
Mhm.
Two things. Connect with me. Connect with me, not just
Yeah.
follow me, connect with me.
Mhm.
I have a ridiculous curated amount of connections. If you see someone in there that you're like, oh, I want to meet this person, message me. We'll have a quick call. And that way I know how to position you when I make the introduction so that it's not just here's someone that wants to meet you. It's you got to meet this person and this is why. And when I frame it like that, my connections will immediately have a conversation with you because they trust me. That's number one. Number two, subscribe to my newsletter on LinkedIn. I give
Mhm.
away so much content and information. It's almost criminal. There's no reason why you can't leverage my knowledge so that you have wisdom. And by connecting with me on LinkedIn and by subscribing to my newsletter, you're already ahead of the game.
Absolutely powerful. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us today. And thank you to each and every one for joining us with Lisa Apolinsky, sharing her incredible insights and the power of digital storytelling and brand authority, inspiring us to take those actions so that we stand out in our respective industries. If you've enjoyed this powerful conversation as I have, please subscribe to the channel, to the podcast, and also leave us a review. And also share this episode out with your networks. Until next time, stay tuned for more As the Experts podcast. Bye for now. Lisa, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was so much fun.